feel like, to try to kind of say this or that person, it's kind of dangerous to do that.
And perfect, because this is going to bring us to later on in the semester when we're talking about different audiences. Depending to whom you're going to be talking and to the specific context to which you want to present yourself. And we're going to ask you to identify multiple contexts of audience to whom you want to present. You're going to present different things. Okay? The other thing that is very important that I started to highlight today to you is when you start measuring all those competencies. One thing is to say I have or I don't. It's like on and off. Start thinking about, I'm very good at that. And I know a little bit about that. Okay? So if you look for job description or if you look for different areas, everyone will require all that, but with different degrees. You say, you need that, but that in the highest level, that in a very low level. Yes?
But for me, I like to try a bunch of different things to get different opinions on different, like you were saying, on different aspects, which has nothing to do with my professional, what I do. I work now and has nothing to do with it. So, organizing and targeting on one expertise, what I've done in my classes, I don't think represents necessarily.
Yes, but I agree with you. But I think what then you have to maybe open it so you feel like you're representing. Because I think if you want to be represented, like I'm a curious person. I'm someone who's always looking for learning something new, trying something new. That is a quality to you, which I think then you can highlight. And someone else maybe wants to highlight I've been really systematic, and then you reshuffle all these pieces and show that. But I think you should dominate that and not let it dominate you necessarily. I think that's in my opinion really important. So then you try to highlight in each one presenting you before you're in the end what really helps you to kind of feel like this represents me what I've done.
Let me thank you for the comments. Let me do a different question here. Instead of me asking you to profile that, let me say that, imagine if I tell that person that person is someone that claims itself as an activist. Okay? Someone that has a major agenda, wants to change the world, okay? And they want to do things. They really want to do things, and they want to work with communities, and they want to work with people, and they're energized to do things rather than study about things. Okay? And they are very political. And that person is engaged in multiple levels on multiple political agendas or objectives or goals. Someone that would define itself as an activist. Okay? Tell me what are the core competencies of an activist based on that database. What are the things that that person can say, myself as an activist, I'm very good at doing that, and that. And that's where I learn.
Maybe they have or he or she has a tolerance for exploring new scenarios or grounds or areas that are unfamiliar. And to be an activist, you kind of have to be progressive and.
So where is scenarios here?
Where to say what?
Where are the scenarios here?
Evidence is that.
So in evidence, scenarios of use. Okay. Someone that was analyzing, doing a project about miniskirts.
I guess that's something different. Maybe.
And it was the sophomore year with John Roach. And by the way, this wasn't Design 2. Design 2 is all you're learning visualization. And maybe the miniskirts was a very visual project. It was not about the history of visual of skirt. It was about the different styles and cuts of a skirt, demonstrating different cuts and different styles in a visual way. In Design 2. Okay? maybe you learned that a certain threshold or size of a skirt became something of a very feminist protest. Okay? So the scenario of use here, maybe it's like, how do you dress a miniskirt? And an illustration of how to do that. And you're doing that in a visual way. So I found interesting that when you said, oh, there's nothing to do with being an activist, okay? But if you develop scenarios of use in a design tool project of miniskirts, what you develop there is a capacity to imagine different futures that you can use for whatever reason you want. That's what I'm trying to show you, that don't attach a certain kind of learning experience into that context. Actually, you have to do the opposite. You have to identify what you could codify at that moment that can be transferred. Okay? Very good point. Give me one more example. As a person, as an activist, what are the core competencies and where they learned that? Capacity to imagine different scenarios, that's one. What else? Yes?
One of the core competencies, critical reasoning and writing. I think that would probably be something they should highlight.
Mm-hmm. So critical reasoning and writing, ability to establish criteria for assessing, understanding. No, yeah. So here you get that in the community garden by on a project that you're working on providing feedback. Okay, but critical reasoning and writing. Think about you as an activist that you have to send a text message, creating a mob to make a political move. Okay? Think about the Obama campaign, sending thousands and millions of text messages to make people vote. One of the key successes of the Obama campaign was the simple fact that people hate standing on the lines for voting, so he started much earlier, saying, did you vote already? You can go and vote right now. You don't have to wait for the day of the election. How do you write those things? How do you make, not just like go to the voting booth, how do you make people conscious how important it is to vote? You have to create a critical reasoning and write that and activate people. Okay? So again, I'm trying to show you here several examples of that you can read all that from multiple perspectives. But the core here is that you create that database. So for this week, the core activity is that you start collecting, you start organizing all the material that you have collected so far into a database. It could be a spreadsheet, it could be FileMaker, it could be any kind of database system as you want. But something that you can sort, something that you can search. Imagine if you start, hello, imagine if you start using a keyword to search that. Okay? You can use a keyword and you can find specific terms, because this is going to get deep. It's not only for you to develop your portfolio now, but that's something for you to, from now on, start cataloging everything that you're doing. Okay? So just to finish today, this is going to be something that you should start doing in addition to how the instructors organize the workshop. Okay? This is your homework. So if the workshop leaders provide you time, you might want to start working on your database, like the architecture of your database, organizing that, what information do you want to put, why, okay? Even start learning how to use spreadsheets and work on that, or whatever other system that you want. But for next workshop, you should bring into your workshop, okay? This as a database that you have already completed and extract information from your past experience. So you can start manipulating that information and we can start measuring that. Okay? For that, you should be doing the reading from Richard said it, the Craftsman, And this is the last chapter of that book. Which is, it talks about ability. Keep in mind, this is a sociologist talking about practice. Okay, so it's not a how-to book, but it talks about ability. What it is, how we measure, where it comes from. So it gives you theoretical context or theoretical frameworks for you to start thinking what are the ways for which I can start measuring my ability in ways that there is value in certain contexts. Okay? So thank you, and see you next week.
See you later.
See you tonight, Jake.
Okay, I had to run